The budget action camera market is really hotting up, with units now packing in 4K recording options, and here we have yet another example. At only $100, seemingly offering full 4K at 30 frames per second recording, the Eken H8R looks mighty impressive. Launched in early 2016, the Eken H8 and the H8R are the successor to the well-performing H9 that came before it. What makes this unit tempting is the promise of full 4K recording at 30 frames per second at a mouth-watering price point. Packed with a dual-screen display and an impressive spec sheet, alongside the camera, users will find a typical array of mounts and accessories, all completely compatible with the GoPro mounting ecosystem. Alongside the micro USB charging cable, the camera's 1050 mAh battery, and a wireless remote and wrist strap, which is waterproof to 3 meters and can be used up to 20 meters away from the camera. A nice addition to the complete package, which is rather generous in content. Nevertheless, the camera itself comes complete within a waterproof housing, seemingly a direct clone of GoPro's Hero 4. In fact, by removing the camera from the housing it's supplied with, users will note that they can reuse a standard GoPro housing if preferred. All buttons line up perfectly and operate just as well. The camera itself carries the typical GoPro clone type design that's become the norm with most action cameras on the market, with its boxy look and feel, although it does look rather attractive. Above another reminder that this is a 4K unit sits the camera's lens, capable of shooting 12 megapixel images and, yes, let's say it again, up to 4K video capture, thanks to a Sony IMX078 image sensor fed by a Sunplus 6350 chipset. Otherwise, we have a pretty typical action camera design, with a 3-button arrangement for shutter mode and Wi-Fi controls, which all feel rather robust with tactile feedback. On the opposite side are the micro USB, HDMI and memory card slots, all open with no small plastic doors or port covers to fumble about with. Talking of doors, there's one on the bottom of the unit, revealing a cavity for the included 1050 mAh battery, supposedly lasting for around 2 hours of usage from a single full charge. On the rear is a nice large 2-inch display, and with the camera switched on, it provides a live view along with other useful data around the edges, such as current mode, recording time remaining, battery levels and so on. All pretty standard stuff. Around the front we find another small screen with some useful status information. This is a step up from most other cameras since it's easily viewable even under low light, unlike the GoPro. It really does give the unit a more premium overall feel, although note it does always remain on and will not switch itself off like the rear screen after a predetermined period. Navigating through the modes and menus is a simple procedure using the mode and shutter buttons to cycle and select between options. Shooting modes are rather standard, including video, photo, burst mode, which is only 3 images a second, time-lapse mode, and a 360 mode, which I can't see anyone ever using, and finally onto video and image playback as well as the settings menu. Nevertheless, the settings menu looks like it was taken directly from a GoPro Hero 4 Silver. Although the large buttons make it seem as though you can press them, the display is not touch sensitive. Either way, scrolling down the menus is easy with the mode button, using the shutter button to select and change options. The available resolution options range from 1080p 30 up to 4K 30. There's no 720p option with higher frame rates for slow motion recording. 1080p 60 is the highest frames per second setting available. Not a deal breaker, but something to bear in mind if you're into slow-mo footage. Otherwise, the menu system is well structured and simple to use, with some advanced level features like exposure being available. Back at the main screen, a quick tap of the side button activates Wi-Fi, with the front display clearly showing its active status. Note that there are no other LEDs on the unit at all, just the front and rear displays. There's no other easy to see blinking light indicating Wi-Fi activity or recording status. Even so, using the Easy iCam app, freely available on the iOS and Android platforms, it's rather stable. The live stream is also pretty average, just like we find on most action cameras with some slight lag, so there's no surprises there. When it comes to settings, there's really not much available. We can cycle between video and photo modes, but otherwise have very little in the way of any settings that we can actually change. It's all rather restrictive. Also note that when Wi-Fi is active, you can't change settings on the camera itself either, so you need to set the camera up with the desired options before enabling Wi-Fi. Considering we have a live stream on the camera display itself and the settings are easily changed on the unit directly, I therefore found that even though connection was reliable, I didn't really use the app at all. On the plus side, the remote control that comes with the camera works very well and is very responsive, making it a very useful accessory. One thing to mention straight away is the camera does get rather warm while in use. Even in standby, just navigating menus and changing some settings, I noticed the camera feel rather warm to the touch, mainly on the side with the ports. As a result, it's probably not a camera I'd use for long recording sessions, a dashcam for example, but rather for shorter clips. When it came to video quality, I was left a little underwhelmed. The camera prides itself on its 4K resolution at a full 30 frames per second. But that's not actually what you get. What you do get is interpolated video, meaning the camera invents pixels to reach a determined resolution. To make matters worse, it doesn't really record at 30 frames per second either, but only at 15, duplicating each frame twice to achieve that 30 mark. As a result, what you get is footage that isn't especially sharp and isn't especially smooth. The colours are quite good, maybe a little oversaturated, but still rather true to life, but the sharpness isn't all too impressive. I've seen better from other cameras in this price range. The exposure is okay, but it does take a few seconds to adjust to the best exposure setting when moving between different lighting conditions, which can get a little annoying at times. Talking of lighting conditions, capturing video under low light is a no-go, but most action cameras suffer from the same issue due to the small sensors packed into tight physical frames. Video is full of artifacts and isn't as smooth as I would expect. When it comes to that 360 mode, it records videos in a 4:4 ratio with a strange resolution of 1440 by 1440 at 30 frames per second. The vertical angle of view is noticeably greater than a normal video, but that's all there really is to it. So all in all, video quality didn't really impress. It seems the compression algorithm is the problem, since still images taken with the camera are actually quite good, certainly comparable to most smartphones. Colours lack slightly, but resolution and sharpness are good, meaning you can zoom into images without losing too much detail. Action cameras are meant for video with still image capture at a second. This unit seems to have things the wrong way round. When it comes to battery life, charging probably takes around 2 hours or so, although it's difficult to tell since there's no charging indicator on the camera. Nevertheless, recording times are respectable, with 4K giving the longest recording time, probably due to that interpolated image and lower actual frame rate. Bundled in a great package with a range of accessories, the Eken H8R is a nice little camera with good battery life even though it carries a dual screen display. The hardware feels robust and the specs make this out to be a great overall budget camera. It can shoot some really nice photos with great details, but it misses the main point of an action camera, the videos. Although it produces good colour, the questionable claim of 4K at 30 frames per second with its interpolated image and frame doubling and the lack of overall detail in its videos means it misses the mark. It's a shame since externally and hardware wise the camera seemed rather impressive. The video quality just lets it down completely, which is a big thing considering that's its primary purpose. You can buy the Eken H8R for around $80 to $100, but honestly for this amount of money you can probably pick up something with sharper video and better overall performance.